Let's talk about President Johnson. I'm Mark Mosley. Welcome to Mark Mosley Show. Between Colbert and South Park, there was a lot of talk this week about President Johnson. Colbert made some disparaging jokes about President Johnson. South Park had a controversial episode where they also made jokes about President Johnson. I think a lot of people who don't like the president vent their frustration by making these kinds of jokes about President Johnson. And sure, President Johnson may or may not be a giant in the history of presidential Johnsons. But we can't ask Trump. That would be a mistake because you know what you're going to get from him. He always speaks in superlatives. Everything is either the best or the worst. That was the greatest chimichanga that we've ever had, and we've had a lot of chimichangas. That one was, believe me when I tell you, the best that we've ever seen. So of course, you know, if we're talking about President Johnson, it would be the best. And he gives nicknames to everyone. Crooked Hillary, Sleepy Joe, Shifty Schiff. So why wouldn't he nickname that? Of course he would. Of course he would. So here we go with the top 10 plausible nicknames that the president has. Number 10, Don Jr. And of course, the real Don Jr. hates that nickname. Number 9, Mar-a-Largo. We all know what the Spanish word largo means. Number 8, Rocket Man. Number 7, Ted Cruz. Number 6, the 9-iron. Number 5, Trump Tower. Number 4, Donald Stump. Number 3, Stacey Abrams. Yes, it's a little weird, but we love that one. Number 2, you're going to like this one. Number 2, it explains so much. Number 2, Kofifi. Yes, we finally know what Kofifi means. And the number 1 plausible nickname that Donald Trump has for that thing, Big Beautiful Bill. Number 1, Big Beautiful Bill. Total guy moment there. Apologies to all the ladies, guys being guys. We'll try to make it up to you, ladies. Coming up, we'll talk about my summer makeup routine. How about that? And I'll give you my recipe for banana bread. And we can talk about our Etsy finds. But let's talk about Colbert, or as I like to call him, Stephen Colbert. Wasn't that his original name and he changed it to the pronunciation? Colbert seems to be melting down in a spectacular fashion between the F-bombs and the Johnson jokes, really showing CBS just exactly what they're going to be missing when he's gone. He's really giving them their money's worth right now. I can't imagine why they'd want to cancel that show. Where are they going to get their F-bombs and their Johnson jokes when he's gone? And pity poor Stephen Colbert. CBS only gave him 365 days to clear out his desk. Only 11 and a half months to find another gig. You know how they do it in radio? You get off the air one day and they go, hey, by the way, that was your last show. That happened to me once. But he's got a whole year to plan his next move, to get a new gig, Stephen Colbert. Maybe he could, no, he can't do that. I was going to say maybe he could go from CBS to PBS, but they've been defunded, so that won't work. Those poor Muppets, man, they're all, oh my goodness, they're all homeless. Oscar the Grouch is now living out of a garbage can. Big Bird is pulling out his or her, I don't know, their feathers out. What gender is Big Bird? I never knew. Big Bird was the original trans Muppet. And pity poor Bert and Ernie. Two men living together. You know the Trump administration is going to go after them next. They're just friends, though. They're just friends. They're just friends. Hey, Bert. Yeah, Ernie. We're just friends, right, Bert? Yeah, Ernie. We're just friends. Okay, that's cool, Bert. Sometimes I watch you shower. What? Nothing. You know, there's much wailing and gnashing of teeth about the defunding of PBS, but I think you have to remember that PBS was created. Now, remember this, PBS was created at a time when there were only, and you Gen Z kids will be shocked to learn this, 3 TV channels. So that was a completely different era. It was founded back in the 1960s by President Johnson. See how we come full circle on this show? President Johnson. That's true. No, I didn't just make that up for the joke. Now we have multiple cable channels, hundreds, and streaming services dedicated to education, the arts, children's programming. It will carry on, PBS, because of the support of viewers like you, and by a generous donation from the Pfizer Corporation. But the media has tried very, very hard to tie Colbert's cancellation to Trump, as if it's just one more example of how much of a fascist dictator he is. But the hardcore truth is the Colbert Show was losing a lot of money. A lot of money. Sounded like Trump when I said that. It was losing so much money, so very bigly, so much. They were just a bunch of money-losing losers. No, but contrast, $40 million a year is what they were losing. That's not what the show was costing them. That's how much they were losing every year. Meanwhile, you look at a couple of guys like the South Park guys. Here's a couple of guys that do most of the voices. They write the things themselves. I mean, they have writers now, but I mean, if you go back to the very beginning, they did all the voices. They did the animation. It was very, very simple, easy animation. The show's produced extremely quickly, very quickly. Most episodes are written, I can't stop. I can't stop today. Everything just sounds like Trump in my head. And they make it very quickly, very, very quickly. Probably the fastest that we've ever seen. Most episodes are written, recorded, animated, and finalized within a week, some in just 3 to 4 days. They've turned things around in like 48 hours before. And while they do have a pretty big staff, 70 people in total, the production is very tightly controlled and they keep their costs low. Plus, there's another angle there, and that's the merch angle. I don't think Colbert moves t-shirts like the South Park folks do. But they both made fun of Trump this week, and that's fine. I don't have a problem. You know what? As a Republican and a Christian, I have had to learn my whole life to have a sense of humor because my teams are going to get mocked. It's just the way it is. It's the way our culture is. My God is constantly being mocked by culture. And you just have to be able to laugh at it because it is so pervasive in our society. And the Bible says, be slow to anger. But they both made fun of Trump this week, but be equal opportunity offenders. And that's what the South Park guys are, as opposed to Stephen Colbert, who just really kind of became a hack for the left over the last few years. South Park makes fun of, you know what? Make fun of President Trump all day. Make fun of all presidents, though. I remember when SNL used to do that. And then Obama came along, and I guess they were terrified for some reason to make fun of him. I believe it was probably the double whammy of him being both the first mixed-race president and also his being, let's just say a big fan of Islam. And don't get mad at me for saying that. I mean, he's the one who blurted that out.
You are absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that has not come my Christian faith.
Yes, the internet, now more forever than ever before. But be an equal opportunity offender. And that's what South Park does. Now, I saw this comment on a Facebook thread about this topic, and I wanted to read it to you because I think this person thinks that they're being a brave keyboard warrior. This person writes, I watch how power calcifies around authoritarian leaders, how their sense of self expands until they see any criticism as existential threat, because it is, which is why satire is so powerful and so threatening, not because it challenges their policies, but because it punctures the illusion. It tells the crowd, this isn't a strong man, it's a clown in a crown. If you want to get under the skin of a malignant narcissist, you don't fight fire with fire, you fight with mockery. You starve them of the image they're trying to project. You take away the awe and replace it with absurdity. That's what South Park gets right. It doesn't argue, it doesn't moralize, it diminishes. And when a society starts laughing at power rather than fearing it, change becomes possible. It's not about respecting the office, it's about refusing to participate in the myth that power equals greatness. Satire reminds us that emperors are often naked, he writes, with small pp's, and sometimes extremely dumb. I'm not saying ridicule replaces policy change or activism. We need a blank ton of that too, but it creates breathing room. It breaks the spell. It helps people see. And for regimes that rely on illusion, that can be fatal. So keep laughing, keep creating, keep satirizing. Authoritarians may control institutions, but they can't survive mass delusionment. And nothing delusions like a punchline. Nothing disillusions like a punchline. Authoritarianism feeds on reverence. Satire feeds on truth. Guess which one lasts longer? Now, again, that was a thread on Facebook that I saw on this subject. And I think this person thinks that, I don't know, for some reason is under the misconception that Trump hasn't been endlessly mocked before this South Park episode. Like the South Park episode is some kind of breakthrough. This person seems to have forgotten that Trump in his first term was subjected to endless media mockery. I mean, as a candidate, they used to laugh at him. There were stage shows about his assassination, music videos about him being killed, imagery of his decapitated head, and a few thousand Comedy Central skits, SNL sketches, and late night jokes. And all those things happened, and yet A, Trump is still standing, and B, he didn't drone strike any of those people that mocked him. He didn't throw any of them in the gulags. And this guy thinks he's pushing back against dangerous authoritarianism because to believe that is to believe that we're in a dangerous authoritarian regime. He believes himself to be some brave Chinese person standing down a tank in Tiananmen Square, but you're not. Because authoritarian regimes don't let you mock them. They have you put down. So I think this person thinks they have some grand point, and they don't. They're just one more liberal cosplaying as some kind of political superhero. Now, Jay Leno has weighed in on the Colbert cancellation, and he said that he thinks late nights become too slanted. Story says Jay Leno recently criticized modern late night comedy for alienating a large portion of the audience by leaning too heavily into partisan politics. I've said this for years, and it's why I've had to stay in the closet about my politics for so many years if I wanted to work in Hollywood. I'll tell you that story. It's a story for another episode. I won't get into it now. But I've always said that it's show business. And in business, you don't, if every other customer that went into Starbucks had a hot cup of coffee thrown in their face, Starbucks wouldn't last very long. So that's why they don't throw hot coffee into the face of every other customer. But folks in show business in Hollywood, they don't understand that. They don't care, or they put their politics above everything, like literally everything. Jay Leno argues that today's hosts often act like opinion journalists rather than comedians, pushing half the viewers away in the process. He emphasized his preference for balanced comedy that targets both sides and said, now you have to be content. I don't do Jay Leno impression, by the way, but stick around. Now you have to be content with half the audience because you have to give your opinion. Why shoot for just half an audience all the time? I don't think anybody wants to hear a lecture. Just do what's funny. Balance over bias. Leno said that during his time at The Tonight Show, his jokes were roughly equally distributed between Republicans and Democrats. He said he enjoyed getting hate mail from both sides. That meant he was engaging a broad audience. Unlike political satire saturation of today, Leno felt that joking about everyone equally allowed him to bring more viewers in without alienating them. And of course, the GOAT also had something to say about this back in the day. And I love this story because it gives me an excuse to do an impression that I never get to do. Johnny Carson. We don't know if he was a liberal or a conservative based on his monologues. He would poke fun at Nixon, Reagan, Carter, all of them. And that's because he knew his job was to entertain everybody, regardless of their political leanings. Now, that does not mean that Johnny Carson did not have strong views and opinions. According to sources, Carson opposed the Vietnam War and capital punishment, favored racial equality, and was against criminalizing extramarital sex and pornography. He also avoided explicitly mentioning his views on The Tonight Show, saying he hated to be pinned down as that would hurt him as an entertainer, which is what he was. Now, he explained in 1970 in an interview, "In my living room, I would argue for liberalization of abortion laws and divorce laws. And there were times when I would like to express a view on the air. I would have loved to have taken on Billy Graham. But I'm on TV 5 nights a week. I have nothing to gain by it and everything to lose." He seldom invited political figures onto the Tonight Show because we didn't want it to become a political forum. And he did not use the show to influence the opinions of viewers. But there have been so many voices on the left weighing in on this Colbert thing, including an actress with a big summer movie coming out this week. So, of course, she needs in her press junket interviews to alienate half the people who would buy tickets to see Freaky Friday 2 or Freakier Friday or whatever they're calling it. So let's do this. Let's play Bookend the Headlines. There's 2 headlines from this week that just bookend so nicely. So let's bookend the headlines. Here we go. Headline number 1. Jamie Lee Curtis says Trump trying to silence people via Colbert cancellation. They're trying to silence people, but that won't work. Yes, it won't work. We will just get louder, reflecting a deep concern about suppressing dissent or critique through media control. She suggests that Colbert's cancellation goes beyond economics and may reflect a broader cultural chilling effect, with the potential chilling amplified when public debate overlaps with big corporate decisions and government influence. Headline number 2 from this week. Biden team coordinated on school memo calling parents domestic terrorists despite denial. The Biden DOJ sought to silence parents protesting at school board meetings. A conservative legal group revealed a tranche of correspondence last Friday from the Biden administration's Department of Justice, shedding new light on the behind-the-scenes discussions about a controversial directive former Attorney General Merrick Garland gave about school boards. The document dump included an email from a Deputy Attorney General aide that said the DOJ was looking for a federal hook to use to address a letter from the National School Boards Association that they wrote to the White House, raising alarm about parents who were, at the time, expressing outrage at school board meetings across the country over COVID-19 mandates, critical race theory, and transgender policies. Critics argue that the timing and tone of the memo suggested a federal response to public dissent, creating a chilling effect on lawful speech. What was the language that Jamie Lee Curtis used? Chilling effect on freedom of speech. Republican lawmakers and conservative legal groups claim that such action risked federally policing local civic expression and parental concerns about education policies. I love to play bookend the headlines because it really just highlights how hypocrisy is baked into the pie with a lot of the things that the left believes and pushes. But tell me again how Donald Trump is the fascist dictator. I mean, listen, if he's going to come anywhere near being literally Hitler, he better get at it because the clock is ticking. I mean, if the Democrats take back Congress, he's moving way too slow to get to Hitler. And we all remember in 2017 during Trump's first term when he introduced censorship, remember? Suspended constitutional civil liberties, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, privacy of communication, gave the power to government to detain people without trial. We all remember that. He eliminated opposition. He controlled information. He propagated the ideology of Trumpism. He shaped the culture. He used music, film, theater, and art to glorify the state and its ideals. See, the 1933 censorship efforts by the Nazis weren't just a little repressive. They weren't just kind of sort of doing it. They were foundational to the regime's totalitarian structure. Hitler didn't kind of do these things, my liberal friends. He did them. He didn't sort of do them. He didn't kind of make you scared at night that when you're laying there going to sleep that he might possibly maybe do them if we don't oppose him. Mostly by banging out an all-caps diatribe on Facebook. He did them. And I think we all remember when Hitler let himself be voted out of office in 1935 and he had to start over and rebuild his power. When Hitler got voted out and then he staged a very stupid unarmed coup against the amassed power of the German military that failed. And then he went off and played golf for 4 years and Hitler hung out with his smoking hot wife. And he waited patiently for 4 whole years until he could lawfully run again in 1940. We all remember that, right? We all can see just how perfectly these two lives track. I'm mocking you in case you hadn't picked up on that, because your narrative is kind of dumb. Mark, why do you bother with these insane takes from the left? Because they're everywhere, because millions of people believe them. They're pervasive, they're dangerous, and some people act on them. Because some nut jobs, they don't just see this as fun and games like, I scored some political points online in a chat. No, they pick up a rifle and climb up on rooftops. Besides, I've always said the best way to defeat liberal talking points is you first allow the premise. And then you take it out to its logical conclusion. See, the only ammo you need is the bullets they've already loaded in the gun themselves. I never bought this. Tell me again how the freewheeling, fun-loving, sex-crazed, meme and crap post-loving, gregarious reality TV star billionaire playboy is very suddenly at the age of 80 going to morph into a psychotic mass-murdering eugenicist. It's a weak pitch. He loves freedom too much. He wants everybody to make money and be fat and giggly and happy, which is what most Americans want. They just want to Netflix and chill. Trump wants everybody to Netflix and chill. Look, maybe this handy PSA will help.
Is your president a fascist dictator? Perhaps even literally Hitler? Look for these warning signs to be sure. Free speech and freedom of the press. A fascist dictator always allows a broad variety of views opposing him and his regime, encourages debate and discussion, and lets the media criticize and mock him all day and night long. It's the way dictators keep a tight control over their power. The economy. Dictators always push government deregulation. Fewer laws and bureaucratic power means you eventually control major industries, and thus the flow of goods and services to the people. And don't forget, rolling back progressive taxation is the way to go if you want to control the masses. Guns. Every dictator throughout history has always allowed robust private gun ownership and opposed laws designed to restrict complete freedom of the public to defend itself against a tyrannical government. It's the only way to maintain the iron-fisted rule of a tyrannical regime. The youth, allowing parents to have a strong influence over how their children are raised and to push back against indoctrination, especially in education and through school choice, is the dictator's insidious plot to mold a new generation of Hitler youth. The children are our future, and it takes a village. So, Mr. and Mrs. America, keep a close eye out for these warning signs to determine if your president is indeed a fascist dictator.
It's Mark Mosley Show. Follow Mark on X, Instagram, and Facebook at Mark Mosley. And subscribe for new episodes weekly on your favorite podcast platform.
It's Mark Mosley Show. Don't forget to follow me or give me a thumbs up on your favorite podcast platform. It took me a minute to figure out some of this stuff because I'm a boomer. So for a minute there, I didn't have it on iTunes, I didn't have it on iHeart, and I didn't have it on Spotify. I only had it on Spreaker. But I figured that out, and it's now on all those platforms. So listen to it wherever you like to listen to stuff. I interact a lot on Facebook, and that's the best place for you to interact with the show, to leave a comment, to engage with me, to argue with me. I would love to meet you there. Last week, the internet was all giggly with the supposed letter that Donald Trump wrote to his pal Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, they were friends. And when folks saw the letter, the left seized on it. Aha! This proves Trump is a pedo. And Trump is suing the Wall Street Journal over the matter, claiming, I didn't write that. Now, a full week later, time has gone by, and the media decided to tell us, oh, yeah, you know what? By the way, yawn, stretch. By the way, yeah, we forgot to mention there's a Bill Clinton letter in there, too, to which I say, aha, this proves Bill Clinton is a pedo. Right? Anybody? Just me? Double standard? Ladies of the View? Oh, that's right. You guys are on hiatus. Maybe they're all hanging out with members of Congress who are taking a much-needed break from doing nothing. Our lazy, feckless Congress, or as you know, as I like to call them, America's George Costanza. And they have declared this the summer of George. I'm stripped to the waist and eating a block of cheese the size of a car battery. You want to know why we have a king in this country? All you fans of No King's Day? It's because we have too many members of Congress who don't ever want to do their job. They never want to take a position on any of the thorny, controversial issues facing America. Nope, keep your head down, keep getting reelected, vote to spend more whenever possible to buy those votes in your district, and keep the K Street money rolling in, baby. Keep that money coming. Oh, anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. Both Bill Clinton and Donald Trump are pedos. Let's do this. Let's read the alleged Trump letter as Trump and the Clinton letter as Clinton and see if they sound like they ring true. Okay, here we go. Jeffrey Epstein says, there must be more to life than having everything. Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Nor will I, since I also know what it is. We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Yes, we do, come to think of it. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that, Jeffrey? As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday. And may every day be another wonderful secret. Sounds just like Trump, doesn't it? Now, Bill. It's reassuring, isn't it, to have lasted as long across all the years of learning and knowing, adventures and illegible word, and also to have your childlike curiosity, the drive to make a difference, and the solace of friends. Childlike curiosity, interesting choice of words. No, the Trump bit really doesn't sound like him, does it? Someone asked Grok. They said, take into account all that we know about how Trump speaks, how he talks, the language that he uses, the vocal patterns. Does this sound like Trump? Grok's AI review suggests that the tone and vocabulary, especially the word enigma, don't align with Trump's well-known communication style. While not definitive proof, it does lend weight to the skepticism expressed by Trump and his allies. So Grok says doubtful he wrote this. It doesn't speak in superlatives. It's not egocentric. I mean, this is more of what Trump would have written to Epstein. Dear Jeffrey, you're a great guy. You're a terrific guy. Not as good as me, but definitely a good guy. Not as good a golfer as I am. By far, I'm the best, but you're all right. Love the plane, but mine's bigger. That's what Trump would have written to his pal Jeffrey Epstein. All right, no one can seem to figure out the reason why the Epstein files aren't out yet. We're all pretty naive here, aren't we? We're all just pretending. We're all just as innocent as lambs. We're all just SpongeBob and Patrick, aren't we? Hey, SpongeBob, how come the Epstein files haven't been released?
I don't know, Patrick, but I'm sure there's a completely benign explanation.
Yeah.
Will you two morons shut up? Sorry, Squidward.
Yeah, sorry. Because, the most likely explanation is the one that's right in front of you. You have to remember, Epstein killed himself. Epstein killed himself over all of this. So the people running the show in D.C. would like to also not commit suicide for being the ones who are responsible for releasing the information. Them, their spouses, their children, their parents, their dog, really anyone near and dear to them will, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but at some point in the future, all become suicidal and or accident prone. OD on pills, walk in front of a bus, accidentally knock a heat lamp into the tub, fall down a well, step on a mine. Office reference. But here's my theory. Are you ready for this? You guys are going to hate this. Whether you're on the left or on the right, you're going to hate this. The left, if you're on the left, you're going to think you love it, but you're going to hate it, and you're going to think I'm a nut for saying it. If you're on the right, you're just going to hate it because it doesn't make Trump look good. But here's the thing. Trump's not a saint. Yes, I'm sorry. I know that comes as a shock to you folks that are on the left, that we're all in a cult and we all think he's Jesus, but that's just not true. Remember, Trump paid a porn star hush money after he slept with her while his wife was pregnant. The man is not a saint. He's probably not a believer. I don't know. He's probably pretty close. Maybe he's close to being a believer. I don't know. But he's not. He's not a believer. He's not a Christ follower. The man's not perfect. Let's dispel that myth right away, because I know that people on the left love to do this thing where you lump all people that like Trump as president together into this caricature that you can dismiss of like, well, you're an idiot. You're just a knuckle-dragging goober because you think Trump can do no wrong. No, we don't. We have plenty of problems with Trump. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Sorry, I had to get that out. Trump is in the Epstein files. He's in the Epstein files. Now, what that means beyond Trump is in the Epstein files is up for debate. Everyone on the left is already convinced he is. You hope he is. You wish he was. you can't wait for confirmation that he is. Everyone on the right is very frustrated because we all know that for a while there, top of the year, beginning of his administration, Trump was all gung-ho, ready to release everything. And then all of a sudden, it all came to a screeching halt. Remember? Remember that Trump was gung-ho to release everything, and then all of a sudden, hard pivot. And everything came to a screeching halt. And you even had Trump saying, I'm tired of talking about Epstein. Are you still talking about this? Let's get off of this. Let's talk about something else. Right? And I believe that's because Trump found out that he's in the Epstein files. And he had to stop everything. There's evidence that he's there in the mix somewhere. Texts, his name on a notepad, video, audio, whatever it is they've got. And we don't know. And it could be a mixture of things. And they had to stop everything because here's the reality. Here's the reality. And you can deny this all day, but you know it's true deep down in your heart. For the entire media, for the entire deep state, for the entire left, there's only one name on that list, or whatever it is, that matters to you, and that name is Donald J. Trump. If it all came out tomorrow, what will the headlines be? Oh, Jimmy Kimmel went to the island, Tom Hanks, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Prince Andrew. Nope. President of the United States, Donald Trump, is the only name that would matter to the entire left, and you know I'm right. It's the only thing they will talk about from now until the day Jesus returns. I think the deep state got themselves some Donald Trump insurance because they're still scared of him. They know he's a wild card. They know they can't control him. So they made sure his name is in there somewhere. Now, you can scoff all you want. You can laugh it up all you want. But your side is the side that concocted the entire Russian collusion narrative out of nothing. Your side is the side that signed the letter saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was fake. Your side is the side that killed Seth Rich. Your side is the side that destroyed January 6 evidence. Heck, your side is the side that said we faked the moon landing. And your side is the side where the leader of the Senate told Rachel Maddow,
you take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them.
And of course, now we know why the intel community was so upset with what Trump was saying about them, because they were setting him up. So yeah, I think Donald Trump fairly recently learned that, oops, my name is in there. And if you're still scoffing, let me just remind you that the iPhone 16, a computer you carry in your pocket, can completely edit your cat out of a photo just by drawing a circle around the cat. Mock that. I'm coming back with the #1 app in the App Store. Oh, this one's trouble. And we'll have our doofus of the week when Mark Mosley Show returns after this.
And now, Shallow Thoughts by Al Ibril. Banning books is wrong because censorship is bad. But cancel culture is good because some voices and opinions need to be silenced.
It's Mark Mosley Show. Follow Mark on X, Instagram, and Facebook at Mark Mosley. And subscribe for new episodes weekly on your favorite podcast platform.
Welcome back, and we're going to talk now about the #1 app on iTunes right now. But I think it's a little dangerous. So I thought we'd get the opinion here and the reaction in real time from an average woman who you and I have never met before, correct?
No.
Okay. No, this is my wife, Marie, and she's very opinionated. That's a good thing. and she's Italian. So
it's like a double whammy.
Super opinionated. Okay, so the number one app in the world right now is a new app that just got released a week ago, and it's already been downloaded over 1 million times. It's called T-E-A, as in
spill the tea.
Spill the tea.
Okay.
Right? The purpose of the app, the guy that created the app was a young man who saw his mom be catfished and be lied to by men, one of which wound up having a criminal history. So he created this app that allows women to warn each other about men. So you create a profile and you can post on there, apart from helping women track down verified green flag men, the app also claims to allow women to identify potential catfish or phonies, verify he's not a sex offender, as well as allow women to run background and criminal history checks on men. And then you can post about men on there. Let me just read a couple of comments from other women and see if this resonates with you. Absolutely no one should be allowed to create a public profile about you to crowdsource your deeply personal information and dating history. Quote, why can't I find a nice guy? Because you listen to his psychopathic ex anonymously make up stuff about him.
I can see how it would be a problem, but I'm also seeing, okay, well, giving another woman a heads up.
Yeah.
I agree with taking it too far and just labeling a man. That's not right.
And apparently there's no guardrails for how do we verify whatever you post about a guy. So here's this was the one that really jumped out at me. This woman writes, this is only going to backfire and make men less likely to approach women. Also, what if a guy is amazing and the girl was so upset that she lost him that she completely sabotages his relationship or his reputation?
I don't think it's right for a single person to have that kind of power.
Yeah.
One person, and it goes both ways too.
Yeah. If there was a male version of this, society would not tolerate it.
Absolutely not.
They would not tolerate it. They would be like, you're destroying women's reputations. A guy can get on there and say, she's this or she's that.
I agree with you.
She's call her any name that he wants.
Rules for thee,
this
but
is what
not
we
for
did.
me. Right.
These are the things that we did together.
The aspect I do agree with is a woman is trying to warn another woman.
I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that you got to watch out for. There's abusers, there's users, there's losers.
It sounds to me, yeah.
There's all kinds of guys out there.
I wouldn't know about that.
But thank you.
You're welcome.
She's not in the dating world that I know of.
No, I am not.
She's not out there.
To me, it seems like it's going to be a platform for bullying a man. And I'm all for women's rights, sisterhood, girl power. But there's a lot of times, many, many, many times, I'll look at a situation and I will just think, okay, that guy is being ganged up on.
Yeah.
And it's okay if a woman does it, but if a man does it, then it's just,
imagine if you will, let's take it a step further. Mm-hmm. Imagine if there was an app that outed people that are trans.
Oh, so that would be not acceptable now.
Don't date this. No, I don't think it would. I think the trans community would be furious. If there was an app out there that said, hey, don't go out with this girl because she used to be a guy. Like if you were outing trans people, I think the trans community would lose their minds.
That's what I was saying. They'd lose their mind.
That's kind of equivalent to what you're doing to some guy.
Like I said, I'm all for women's rights, women's equality, but there's a lot of times that I see the male be picked on, be bullied, and
there's a lot of hatred of men.
Yes.
And a lot of emasculation going on in our society now. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is there's a lot of encouragement of the father to actually not be around from certain people. It's almost like they're trying to create a narrative.
Right. They're trying to destroy the family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I will not be downloading this app.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And if a guy version of it comes out, I promise I will not download it. Let's have a palate cleanser here. Here at the end, we're going to talk about something non-political. It's time again for our doofus of the week. I love a good story of idiots. There's a lot of dumb people out there. I know a woman who bragged on Facebook that she scored an 84 on her IQ test because she thought it was out of 100. Here we go with the doofus of the week. I love this story. Are you ready? Doofus of the week?
Yeah, doofus. You're a big stupid doofus.
No, you are.
No, you are.
Okay. Roy Diaz of Miami was arrested when a fire broke out at his house. Happened about 6:45 in the morning. The fire department called cops. When they noticed the smoke had an unusual but familiar smell to it. The police discovered Roy had 53 mature marijuana plants in a hydroponic farm in the house. He was running a drug lab, to put it bluntly. Ba-dum-tis. Diaz was treated for smoke inhalation and charged with trafficking in drugs and grand theft of electrical power. See, he was tapping into his neighbor's junction box to power the house. This is why you should never do more than one illegal thing at a time. Doubles your chances of getting caught and increases your sentence. So Roy Diaz has gone off to prison. By the way, the firefighters quickly brought the blaze under control and then went and ate $900 worth of pancakes at IHOP. Congratulations, Roy Diaz. You're the doofus of the week.
You're a big stupid doofus.
No, you are.
No, you are.
Well, that's the show, folks. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe, follow, like, whatever it tells you to do. And we'd also love it if you would leave us a review, especially if you're on iTunes. Leave us a review because that's the way we're going to grow this show. The show actually cannot grow. I don't want to lay a whole bunch of guilt on you, but please, won't you do it for the children? This show cannot grow without your support. Thanks for listening, and until next time, may God bless you with joy, health, and wisdom.